Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on April 5th, 2023 at approximately 4:27 p.m. PST. Now, I returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Okay, now, I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the exact same philosophies that I personally live my life by. Now, do understand, I only follow 3 laws, and they're all the karmic laws. Be true to yourself first. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Now, that said, okay, if you compare the laws that you follow, whether they're spiritual, family, legal, or support group, or friends, doesn't matter. Compare them. Okay, compare them to the 3 laws that I follow. And I do believe you will find that all of yours will fit inside the 3 I follow. From my standpoint, I figure I've got an advantage. I only have to remember 3. Now, before we go any further, we have Stephanie in the house with the gold, and Adam right behind with the silver. Shadow has come in with the bronze. And Nylock, you are in with honorable mention. Welcome aboard, everybody. Now, like I put up there, we're going to look at meditative techniques today to see what we can do about getting your head on straight, and for that matter, getting mine on straight. Now, it's been an interesting day because I started off, and I wonder how many of these I actually got done. Got that one done. Let's see. By the way, Shadow, the reason I did not send you the list yet is because the box that's got them all is apparently not where it belongs. But I have got it listed on what I'm looking for. Let me see here. We have, that I did find right off the bat. Now, these ones aren't old by any means. I just got to figure out what date this was, if I can find it. Sometimes Bibles don't actually have a date. See, now this one, the Book of Mormon, okay, this is really recent. As in, this one's only 2007. Then we have the New World Translation. This one is the Jewish, but I think Jewish, I don't know. The New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures, which is really kind of comical. If you're actually following the writings on them, it's not that hard. But this one again is a recent one because this one is 1984. I'm guessing these are not anywhere near the age you're looking for. Then this neat little book here is, that's an even newer one. That's the English translation of the Quran from 2003. Like I said, these were the easy ones to find. The other ones are apparently not where they belong. I'm betting dollars to donuts. Those are not what you're looking for. Oh, that's not a problem. In all fairness, I haven't gotten into the meditative side at all. Let's see. Well, perfect. Thank you so much for clarifying that, Nylock. Yeah, the other one that I've got is the Book of Mormon. Okay, these are the only ones I've tracked down. Somewhere in my collection, I've got the Bhagavad Gita, the Teachings of Buddha, and the Well, I've also and what's the other one I've got? We've got a couple of other ones that are on the older side. Like this one here. I've got an older version from back in the 50s of this same Bible. Okay. Oh heavens, that was what brought my attention to it. Okay. Is like I found in this one, okay, I found something rather remarkable. This one I've gone, this is the New World Translation. I know I've got one of these somewhere from the 1950s. And inside the first page, there are already words that are not the same, meaning what they've done is they've changed the writings. Now you can bet if people can't even get the writings the same, if it's in the same language, you can bet they screwed it up going from a dead language to a live one. I mean, that's just the reality behind it. Now, when we look at, again, one of the biggest things that we have to remember here, okay, is that if you're not content with the way your life is, many times this is because you've been bombarded by negative stuff, you've been told, fear everything around you. Anytime you notice a discrepancy, you're being paranoid. Now, I've been called paranoid myself. I've been called a lot of things, and some of them are actually repeatable in polite company. But here's the thing in my case. Okay, every time I've come up with something that I found was off kilter, what I ended up discovering was about 20 to 30 years down the road, I got vindicated. That was the word I was looking for. Which to me means we're not dealing with paranoia, we're dealing with foresight. Many of you may suffer from the same consequence, the same situation. Now, one of the reasons I do recommend meditation in a comfortable position when you're wide awake. Okay. If you aim to get into meditation and you're really tired, what'll end up happening is you'll slow your body down, and that's great. You'll get a fantastic sleep, but it kind of goes south of the border as far as getting any sort of meditative relaxation in. Okay. But the reality behind meditation is not every method works for every person. Jenny, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Every element that is out there can be utilized as a focal point. Okay, and we'll get into a number of them. I'm not going to show them all to you because, well, frankly, I don't even know if I've got one. Wonder if I do. See, the reality is I'm not a smoker, but I do like playing with fire. Hey, look at that. See, I do have it. And like I said, I'm not a smoker, so I got in the habit of collecting these things ages ago. But you can use any number of things. What meditation boils down to is figuring out how to focus on one thing and let your mind wander. The biggest miscalculation people make, and the biggest fallacy that I'm aware of that people are told, is that you have to let your mind go blank. Okay. This is not actually a functional method. Hey, Joe, how we doing? Glad you could join us. Fantastic, Joe. That is how you start remembering them. You'll notice, okay, if you go back to that journal now, okay, or even in a couple of days, and you go back and you read that little point form journal entry, you'll find that you remember other bits and pieces. Okay, now, of course, the question comes at that point, well, how do I know it's memory of the dream and not just filling in the holes? Well, the reality of it is It's literally a feeling, and you'll come to understand that side of it as you go through it. Okay, there is no easy way. Now, when I look at meditation is a way of slowing your mind down so you can pick up the emanations around you. Now, whether this means you use a flame, you use a bowl of water, you use a low thrumming song. It was funny. Years ago when I was living in the bar, so we're looking, well, I'll be back in the 80s, so we're looking 40 years ago here. When I was living in the bar, there was one song that could put me into a trance like that. And that was Kim Wilde's You Keep Me Hanging On. Right? It absolutely put me into and this is right smack in the middle of a busy bar. Okay. So when I started, okay, because you can work with the elements that are easy to identify. Virtually everybody knows about working with a candle to meditate. Light the candle, no, I'm not going to light a candle, but this works. You let it run and you just stare at the tip of it. Okay. And the reason for that is it gives you something to focus on. Okay. And you will find that when you're focusing on that, if you point your attention right there, your mind will go all sorts of places. Let it. Half the trick of meditation is that you're letting your mind go. You're not stopping your mind. Okay, this is not a question of making your mind go blank. This is what gets people frustrated. I'm trying to keep my mind blank, and all of a sudden I'm thinking of bunnies running down the road. My problem when I think of bunnies is I'm always drawn back to Monty Python. And I'm looking at carnivorous bunnies. Okay. But meditation is not about making your mind blank. It's about letting your mind go and just noting where it floats to. Okay, that's where the information from the subconscious comes into your brain and translates into something you can work with. Okay. See, now I would love to, one of the things about meditation, when we start looking at setting up to meditate, okay, the first thing you've got to look at is make sure you're awake. This is not something to do when you're tired, because if you are tired, it's not that it's not good for you, but if you are tired, what'll happen is you'll get really, really relaxed. You'll slow your heart rate down. You'll slow your mind down. And then you'll pass out. Now, you'll wake up really refreshed, so it's not a bad thing. Just kind of counterproductive where it comes to the whole idea of getting new messages. Okay. Now, some people, when they're meditating, and I'm going to, before I jump too terribly far back and forth, I'm just going to list off a few things, and then we'll deal with them. And all we do is take that. Yeah, that'll work. So some of the different things that we can work with as far as focal points go, okay, is an energy pocket. And we will, like I said, I'll walk through each one of these, okay, at least in some detail, so you can get an idea. You've got energy, you've got fire, you've got water, you've got earth, you've got, quite frankly, a mirror can work quite nicely. Okay. One of the ones I prefer is the knife point. Yes, I'm a little twisted. I like playing with knives. What can I say? Well, I could say a lot of things, but okay, so you do have knife. You can work with sound. Okay. And the whole catch to it is with all of these, it is absolutely imperative you start off awake. Start off wide awake. Okay. Find a comfortable position. This does not mean get into the lotus position. The lotus position where you put your feet on top of your knees and then you sit there and wait until they pop out of joint. For me, that's real easy. It's like click, bang, bang, and the first one's gone. Now I can put the other one in. Okay. I don't personally find the lotus position comfortable. This idea that people show me, that say, oh, it'll help you get into a better state if you kneel down and you sit there with your fingers, with your hands out this way, and you go, Om, and you just carry doing this. Okay. To me, yes, it can work. This is not my favorite method. Number one, I kneel and sit down on my knees like that. I pop them out of joint. Okay. So we take a look at that. Tell me. Now, let's go back to the beginning here. Does anybody have any idea what the purpose of meditation is? Like, why get into meditation at all? What can it do for you? The reason I'm asking is because, quite frankly, it's always nice to know where people are standing. Yes, Henry, it is used for reflection a lot of the time, especially if there's an area when you're looking at missing information. By going into meditation, you can access the subconscious. See, your memory is absolutely perfect. It's people's recall that's a little bit of a scramble job. Okay, and I gotta bring something up here. I need that. And Shadow, where are you? There we are. This is, people, the link to Shadow's site. And to Shadow's YouTube. Okay, absolutely drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say or you like what he's working with, give him a thumbs up. And absolutely subscribe to the channel. Where are we here? Ouch. YJ's just going, use bookstores too. Estate sales are excellent. I found one from the 1800s once, but they wanted $1,000. Yeah. And rest assured, most books, and in all fairness, unless it was mint condition and an absolute rarity, $1,000 to pay for it, in my eyes, isn't worth it. Much as I appreciate that, Shadow, I really don't see myself as the best. I do appreciate the accolades, mind you. What was it? Oh, that's what that was. So I'm looking at this going, when we look at meditation, it is used for a couple of major purposes. One, absolutely, reflection, recalling lost memories. Okay, or misplaced memories, if you will. Like I said, the memory is solid. Your recall or your data tree, if you think in terms of computers, that's where the problem comes in. Okay, so, we talk about all the different ways you can do it. Now, do understand, meditation and prayer are very tightly linked together. There's very little difference in them. But with that in mind, you can call it what you will. You can call meditation, running the marathon if you'd like. What you call it isn't a relevant issue. Okay? Because, and I keep referring back to William Shakespeare because he said it best when he said, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Yeah, no, the sad part is, and I'm not the one, when I look at that YJ, mine's up front. I've got a family Bible. It's not 7 inches thick, but it is about that thick. Okay, I'm not sure what year it's from. I do know I've got to get it brought up to date. So I should get the information and get that done this year. But the reason I'm getting rid of Bibles, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Shadow, but these three I was talking about, they're relatively early, like relatively new. Those ones I can put in the box and get rid of. Okay. As in, where are we? Just because I'm going to put them aside. That's the New World Translation from 1984. Okay. The Mormon book, the Book of Mormon, is from 2007, and the English translation of the Quran is from it's from 2003 now, unless I'm missing my guess. Those ones you don't require, do you there, Shadow? Yeah. Okay, so I put them there. When I get down the stream, they'll end up in the actually. Oh, look at that. Hot dang. Not that one, that's my garbage can. But this funny little box here. Okay, because of that, I can take these books and put them in this bin so they can go away. It's not that they're bad books. It's just I don't have a lot of use for them at this point. I'm getting rid of excess. Okay. You know, the oldest book I've got, which has absolutely nothing to do with the church, was written in 1850. You know, and I'm just looking at some of the ones I've got, but when we're going to do our best to stay on the meditation side here, but well, let's face it, we get scattered. Now, most people are aware of the whole idea. And where are we? Well, that's an interesting issue. I can do that for you in a heartbeat. I just have to go and get the Bible because I really can't tell you right off the bat. You know, but that being said, because I don't have a Bible in this room, and I mean, I just showed you three, but they're not King James. I'm laying odds you're referring to King James. But with that in mind, and maybe I'll take a break and go and get it eventually, but we'll see what happens. Where it comes to meditation, the most common ones that people know of, are working with a flame or sitting down in a really uncomfortable position, putting your hands out like this and going om. Just sitting there going om, om. It always reminds me when I hear that of the thing I saw back in the 60s where it went brains, brains. Had about the same effect. Okay. But yeah, that's what I thought. Well, just because you brought it up, give me 5 seconds. I will see what I can do about that. Give me half a second here. Well, 5 seconds. Where is my Bible? Come back and get it. Now, before anybody jumps on any idea here, are we going to turn this into a Bible study, not a snowball's prayer? It's just I am curious about just exactly what is important here. Yeah, I do that a lot there, Henry. I mean, I've been kept in the dark for an awful long time. Now, what did you want? You were looking for 1820 Matthew. See, now this particular Bible that I'm looking at here, trying to find if I can figure out what year it was done. And of course, can't tell exactly when it was written. But if we are looking for what is it, Matthew, and I'm just looking through it right now, it's actually relatively easy, assuming you can read. Of course, in my case, that's not always, there we are. There we are, St. Matthew, 1820. So we go here. 16. $18.20. No, we are not about to turn this into a Bible study by any means. But 18:20, in Matthew 18:20 says, "For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them." Okay, that's where that one comes from. I've lived by that. I've told people that for like literally decades. But that about says it all. This is why when we are talking about, when you are talking about church at all, the church is not a physical building. But meditation and prayer works just as well. Okay, prayer works as well as meditation does, in as much as you focus on what you're aiming for. You focus on the attainment of a dream, of a goal. Okay, the only thing you got to remember is meditation is used for visualizing it happening. Very few people actually focus on meditation with the idea of asking for things to happen. Okay, you literally meditate, you focus, and you put all of your creative energy, or as much as you can muster, into the attainment of that goal. Okay, now a lot of the time, like you can take, like I said, you can take a candle. We're just going to use a portable candle. Okay, and just look at the light. Okay, I mean, let's face it, they do it in the rock concerts all the time where they stand there and they wave it back and forth and burn their fingers. But I don't understand why they do that. But then I never did get much into the idea of going to the concerts. When I started, and I didn't realize what I was doing in all fairness, but I would take my hands and I would put them I would put them together. And then I'd look between them. And if you look, there's a triangle face there. Okay. When I used to look in between my fingers, I'd look at the energy pattern in this little triangle. Okay. That was where I focused because I could see the energy move. And it really gave me the opportunity. That's how I started learning how to work with a crystal ball, in all fairness. Only I didn't know that's what I was doing. Is I'd focus on that energy, and I would get the inclination of where I should be focusing. Benny, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah, and that's why I said, Benny, we're not going to get into it. This is not turning into a Bible study. The reason for that is this. Every individual is absolutely permitted to look at the world their own way. The only thing that I've ever held, and this is why I say those 3 karmic laws, doesn't matter what you call what. You take a look in the mirror and you go, am I content? And what I'm doing working for me? Is it comfortable for me? Okay, I don't know how old this one is. I can tell you this. This Bible is the exact Bible. This was actually set on my grandfather's coffin before he was buried back in 1971. Now, I didn't find the publishing date, and I'm not going to bother worrying about it. But when we look at meditation, okay, you focus on the energy, you focus on visualizing, on bringing into light what your higher consciousness, your subconscious, your higher self, put a label on it. Call it last week's peanut butter and jam sandwich. Whatever you're focusing on, by the way, if it's last week's peanut butter and jam sandwich, do yourself a favor and don't eat it. Okay. The reality of it is, whatever title you want to put on, that goes quite well. Okay. Oh, here's the neat part, YJ. I went through this the other day, a while back with somebody. Okay, and I've gotten into it a lot of times. One of these days, somebody that has a channel that focuses on religion will approach me with the idea they want to discuss what is going on with it. Okay. I avoid going down that rabbit hole too far here for a lot of reasons. Not the least of which is my views are extremely unorthodox and rather unpopular in a lot of ways. What we got? Let's see. Joe goes, I heard on the news channel today while I'm watching with my dad, News Channel 46 or something, that an archdiocese, hope I said that right, Maryland reporting child abuse. That unfortunately has been going on for centuries in various religions. And to me, that's absolutely pathetic. Oh, I can tell you this, that part of it there, YJ. This is the Holy Bible placed by the Gideons. Okay, let's see if it's actually got. Yeah, this is the one the Gideons put out, but it is very definitively. It actually doesn't say what this one is. The other Bible, I'm trying to figure out where the heck I put it. But that being said, when we take a look at the way the world is working, okay, meditation is used to get yourself focused and to visualize and get in touch with that misplaced memory. The memory's right there. It's your recall that runs into trouble. But what meditation does, on the whole, is it helps bring all of the energy into that connection to rebuild the data tree, if you will. Okay. That's the reality behind it. The neat part about it is, realistically, there's all sorts of things we can look at, but meditation itself, think of it this way. If you're having trouble remembering something, meditation is another word for focus. Okay, and there's another definition for focus, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Oh yeah, it's very definitely. See, the reality is, YJ, for me, do I personally believe in God? Do I personally believe in Jesus? Probably more than most people do. But I was raised broadband Protestant, as in I was raised in a military base where every 3 or 4 years we had a different denomination of Protestant, Protestant pastor come up. Meditation is a way of focusing. It's a way of zeroing in and cutting out all of the extra garbage that's going on. Okay, you'll notice if you try meditating, and I do use the word try in this case very deliberately. Okay, if you try meditating in the middle of a rock concert, you're probably going to have trouble with it, simply because it's such a lot of noise. But when I started working on finding a way to meditate, I would take my hands, I would put them this way, and you notice that there's a little triangle there. Okay, that's just because that's the way my hands work. And I would simply focus literally on these two little fingers where they connected. Now, I can't turn them away and around and show you the other way, but picture it this way. Picture those being your little fingers. Okay, and I would concentrate on that point and focus on that one little point. Okay, that I can absolutely do for you there, YJ. Where are we here? I require that. This is the email address I do everything through. It's the access to my PayPal, etc. Okay. We go there. That will get you into my PayPal. It is also, if you guys are trying to get a hold of me, that's the email address that is easiest to get a hold of me by. It's also the one when I'm doing consulting for people. That's the one that I also take, if you're in Canada, e-transfers to. Or e-transfers from, or whatever you want to call it. Meditation is a way of focusing your intention to re-access or to reopen lost data access. Okay. I appreciate that, YJ. So that being said, if you would be kind enough to drop me a line and let me know what the reason was, I'm rather curious to know. Okay. But meditation itself, whether you're using energy, which is what I did and what I do here, this is my normal method. I will sit there with this in front of my eyes and I will focus on just my little pinkies, right, to give myself a point of reference, if you will. Okay. The other thing, and again, another tool that I work with quite consistently. Okay, I just saw something here. What was it? Oh, that's what that was. Okay. Hey, Benny, thank you so much for joining us. You have a good night. When you're looking at meditation, the idea is to slow your mind down. Yes, you let it flow. You don't stop your mind because your mind isn't going to stop. The reality I've found is if your mind stops, there's a bigger problem than meditation. Okay. But flame works really well. The other thing that works great, and no, I'm not going to turn this on its side, but you can do the same thing with a cup of water. Okay. You can do the same thing with a cup of water. Okay. I've actually got somewhere in my collection. Yeah, it's somewhere in my collection. It's right about, is it there? No, it's not there. Of course not. Look for things in there and somebody's moved them. And when I say somebody, do understand that usually means that one of the spirits that travels through my house does that. Now, that is unfortunate. Usually if I know who I'm responding to, like a lot of times I'll get junk email that I just look at, but I finally found out how to actually reprogram my computer so the emails that are actually of any import are the ones that actually get to somewhere where I can see them. Because I get I get phone calls like you do. They go, oh, by the way, your SIN number has been canceled. I love the ones that phone me up and go, oh, by the way, there's been a problem at customs. I'm thinking, like, why tell me? But that said, okay, when we take a look at the meditation side of things, okay, the idea of it is to simply focus on what you're striving to remember. Maybe it's a question of finding a way to bypass an old habit. Okay, where you can finally look past something that's been blocking you. More often than not, that block is caused by something that happened early on. Okay, now one of the techniques that I personally use is I'll sit down when I'm wide awake and just looking to stabilize things. And this works really well for your health, not just on a meditative standpoint as far as answering questions. Okay, but you sit down, and I'm not talking about putting your hand on your pulse. I mean, you literally sit down, quiet your mind, and you literally feel your heartbeat. Okay, if you concentrate for a moment, you can feel the heart itself thumping inside you. Get agitated, it works even easier. But you focus on that, and then you track the pulse out as far as you can. Now, in my case, when I focus on my heart, I can track it all the way to my fingertips. In all fairness, I can track it right to the tips of my hair. Now, clearly, I'm not feeling the pulse at that point. Can you picture the mess we would have if you actually have blood running through your hair? If you go to the barber, talk about a mess. So with that in mind, okay, I sit down and I focus on the heartbeat. I simply run one word through my head at that point. That word being heal. Okay, what that does is it takes all of your creative energy and focuses it on putting your body back together and making things happen in a positive fashion. Okay. Now, those are just a couple of techniques. There is the idea of sitting and that one monotone sound. When people sit down and they just simply sit there like this, going Om. Again, what it's doing is it focuses all your creative energy on that one vibration. Okay, and it's that one vibration. This is why I said you're not aiming at clearing your mind. You're aiming at letting the mind go where it will. Okay. How are we doing, Eternity? Glad you could join us. Okay. Striving to clear your mind. Okay. Oh, YJ, correct me if I'm wrong. You're in Canada, are you not? If you're in Canada, then you can use the exact same email address for e-transfers. Okay, I don't think e-transfer works anywhere else. But from the standpoint of when you're looking at tracking your heartbeat, this is again just a simple case of finding something to focus on so that you're occupying your logical brain so the creative one can kick in. And as long as your creative brain can kick in, you can take that energy and turn it around. Okay, you can take that creative energy and utilize it to actually make your dreams a very solid reality. Okay, and this is just one of those things that you look at. You take care of that, Shadow. Thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, we seem to have a little bit of an overlay there. But no, the nice part about it, the nice part about meditation is if you get into a comfortable position. And, quite often I find if you've got a chair you can put your feet up in. I used to have a recliner I used, and then, well, that went the way of the Yldrbac. But meditation is a way to slow your brain down during a very hectic period. Okay, as we know, this world is going around in circles, many of them pretty negatively inclined. But the more you meditate and focus on the positive things that are sitting in your life, the easier it is to really bring those into the spotlight for yourself. Okay, it was funny. Like, I look at it and I'm going, okay, what is my life doing that is not working as well as I'd like it to? So I end up sitting down, working on the computer, getting things organized. And there are times when I will gap out, where I'll be listening to music and I'll just sit in front of the computer. Good evening, Terry. How you doing? Glad you can join us. The fire is one of those things that is very easy because it's got lots of movement to track that literally helps you focus on the change. Okay, but it keeps your mind narrowed down. It keeps your logical brain occupied. Meditation is used to access the creative side. To let that part of your brain kick into high drive, and thereby modify your life the way you are aiming for. Okay, remember that thing I said right at the beginning? That you must be true to you first. Okay, this doesn't mean you're better than anybody, but if you're not taking care of you, you're going to, in all likelihood, be hard-pressed to take care of the people around you. Okay, Lord knows I've overextended myself way, way, way too often. Okay, now, I'll use this. And again, I do actually have a wand up front. That's a paintbrush, obviously. But when I said you can use earth, take a paintbrush or anything else. Take a wooden spoon. What's down here doesn't matter. Okay, you're looking at this. Okay, and you look at the tip of it, and that's what you focus on. Now, I will tell you, you hold that too close, and you're going to go cross-eyed, and you're going to start seeing double. Now, I don't think this will work, but if you grab, you grab two of them, well, that one ain't wood. So we grab two of them now, hold them together, and you get to see double without any problem. But by focusing on the tip, okay, it gives your logical mind something to concentrate on. And then you can let your mind go. You're going to let your mind do what you will. If you're capable, this works like a charm. Okay, if you're capable to do so with the hand you don't write with, okay, you take a wooden stake, or I like playing with knives, as I've mentioned before. You hold on to it with your left hand. Okay, if you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, hold it with your right hand. Not a problem. Glad you could join us there, Nathan. You grab it with the hand you don't write with. Okay. And all you do is you focus on it, and this is where it becomes a little bit of a multitask thing. Okay. You concentrate on that tip, and you just literally focus on that. And put your hand down on a sheet of paper, okay, and let your mind do what it will, and just write whatever comes out. Now, do not expect perfect penmanship. Okay, the odds are you won't get it. Okay, but what you're doing is occupying your logical brain by looking at the focal point you've provided. Then you're letting your creative brain decide what it's going to write down. When you're done, okay, when you've reached the point where, no, I don't desire to be sitting here any longer, take a look at what you read and what you wrote. You may find it rather enlightening or revealing where your mind has gone. Okay, I know mine went the way of the Yldrbac a long time ago. But these are just a couple of the different methods that we can work with. Now, another thing that you can work with, and this one, since I don't have a mirror handy, we get the other reflective surface that I've got. No, don't have one handy. This is why I like knives. Okay. I take this neat little knife, but you'll notice it's got a little bit of a shine to it. Okay. Again, it boils down to the same thing. I've got it in light. You can see how it shines. Well, you have the light behind you, so that you're looking at the shine on this side. And again, all you're doing is looking at the reflection. You're looking at the movement to occupy your logical brain. As long as you keep your logical brain working, okay, and occupied, your creative brain will kick in and do what it's supposed to and let you know what you're looking at. Well, anything can be used, really. Okay, I just happen to like knives. What do I do with it? Hoping I left it over there. I did. Yeah, it was funny. When I picked this one up, I was asked why I bought it, and I looked at my mom and I went, because I can. I used to actually have a katana wakizashi set, ornamental. But my nephew was studying Japan at the time, so I turned them over to him. How you doing, Cliff? Glad you could join us. Now, the other thing that I have seen, and this is oddly, this is a very simple form of meditation that many people were taught, especially if you had trouble sleeping at night. Okay. We were told as kids, at least I was, count the sheep. It's a form of meditation. It gives your logical brain something to do until you pass out. Unfortunately, my parents gave up on it when I counted up to 1,000 sheep. And I still wasn't going to bed. But then I got my logical brain working on the numbers instead of the action, and away I went. The nice part about it is you're not locked into any specific form. Now, I don't actually have one here, and I don't know where they went. Oh, there we are. I do have one here, just not on a string. This is why hypnotherapists do it this way. Okay. They'll take they'll take a crystal or a coin and they'll suspend it from a chain and then hang it in front of you. Okay. It's another form. Most people call this hypnosis. Hypnosis is simply a guided meditation. Okay. Guided as in they help you relax until your logical brain shuts down and your creative one can kick in. But most of you have operated with, have tried the idea of a pendulum, question whether it's real or not, and I'm going to leave that to you guys to decide. Have I used them? Yes. It's not a method that I personally take a lot of weight to. Okay, but I can tell you how it operates. All of these different methods, there's not one that is better than the next, in my opinion. But every one of them, can be utilized. Switch it up a little on occasion. Okay, that way you don't get bored with what you're trying and what you're aiming at doing. But just remember, the purpose of meditation is to help get your brain and get the logical brain side and the logical side of your brain out of the way so that you can listen to the creative side, that side of you that is directly responsible for manifestation. Okay. Now, when I'm looking at things, I start my day off with minor meditation, but I use a slightly different method. Okay, and I've talked to you about this before, only I doubt very much you guys looked at this as a meditative technique. When I get up in the morning, the first thing I end up doing is I'll grab a blank sheet of paper and I will sit down and I will put a list together. I'll focus my logical mind on putting a list of the different things together that I require. Okay. And, that is something. I was just looking at this list of different techniques. Another thing that works fabulous where it comes to putting yourself into a meditative state is find quiet music. Okay. Big band is actually not bad, or big band or your classical music works really nicely because what it does is it draws the logical brain into that field and lets your creative one kick in. Again, it's just another way of focusing the logical mind to occupy it. It's like telling a computer, figure out pi to the last decimal. You'll tie the thing up for hours. Unless it just up and looks at you and goes, I don't think so, I'm just going to seize. But all of these are methods that work. Another one that some people don't realize is a meditative technique. And I forget what the actual name is, but tapping, where you sit there and you take your hand and you tap it on the counter. Okay, that is another form of meditation. Again, it gets the logical brain occupied so that you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about trying to shut it down. It's already preoccupied. Okay, sometimes I know some people, they'll drop into a meditative trance before they start writing or before they start painting. Okay, now to me this is a great option, and depending on what you're looking for, if the one thing the meditation will not do for you, by the way, it will not enable you to alter somebody else's intention. Your meditation will not do anything to them. It is solely designed for your own benefit. Okay. Can you use meditation to make yourself more appealing to other people? The answer is definitively yes. Okay. But that's because what you're doing is going, I desire to be more appealing, more attractive to other people. Not necessarily in a physical sense. Okay. But much more importantly, in the issue of, much more importantly, in the concept of making yourself feel like you're more rounded, more sophisticated, however you want to put it. But you focus on bettering yourself. One of the reasons I went to reading a live excerpt on Sundays, number one, I didn't have to try and figure out what I was working with. Okay, but it was to get my brain working Nightmare, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You get your logical brain out of the way. Get it occupied. Anything that does that can be used from meditative technique. The one place that I would strongly recommend you never start your meditation, is frankly in the bathtub. Well, you want to be in the bathtub, knock yourself out. Don't put a whole pile of water in there with it. Because like I said, if you're even remotely tired and you get into the right state, you'll pass out. And, I had a friend whose fiance did something to that effect. They found her belly up in the bathtub when he got home from work. No, by the way, meditation does not kill people. It just doesn't. Christine, how you doing? Glad you could join us. But the whole purpose of meditation, to start with, is to help get you into a better state of mind about you, about your ability to make things happen in your life. It's not rocket science. I don't think, anyway. It's a question of taking a look at what you have been doing and going, what I'm doing isn't working. Now, many people will go and talk to a counselor. Many people do go and talk to a counselor to take a look at what's going on, to get a second perspective, if you will. That's one of the biggest things you have to look at. I'm just looking at this. Okay. I'm just looking, that bothered me, YJ. So I just went into my email and took a look at it. And yeah, I understand where the issue was there, but what do we got? I need to go back to here so I can read. Does that work? Meditating to make someone attracted to you. It does. And here's how it works. It's not, the trick is to focus on you. The trick, Joe's just asking, does that work? Meditating to make someone attracted to you. You take care, YJ. Glad you dropped in. When we take a look at it, when you start meditating about you, you focus on you being more appealing, you being more enigmatic, more, shall we say, mentally attractive or emotionally attractive. But what you're doing is you're modifying your energy to make you more visible to other people. It has nothing to do with thinking, oh, gee, and I'm just going to put a name out there just because names are not really strong on my part, but thinking about an actress or an actor that you're really interested in. Your meditation you do not focus on the person you're interested in. You focus on you, making you more appealing overall. In that fashion, you can turn things around and really open the door. But yeah, does it work? Absolutely. Again, it boils down to really getting strongly attached to yourself. And going, I am attractive. Or I am, I now have a life partner. And yes, by focusing on the here and now, does that work to draw that energy to you and to open it up to make you more receiving of it? The answer is, yeah, absolutely, Joe. It really does. Now, I do not expect you to take my word for it. Give it a shot and see what happens. But I will tell you, the odds of it happening overnight, not good. Most of the time when people start really deliberately shifting their energy, what ends up happening is you're looking at a week to 10 days of focusing on it. And I don't mean that you have to meditate for 10 days straight. 5-10 minutes a day is all it's going to take to really get your brain worked around on the other side. Okay, this is one of the neat little techniques that you take a look at. Okay, in order to open that door, it's a question of seeing yourself as more valuable or more appealing, more fulfilling for other people. Okay, does that work? What you're doing is, if the answer is yes, you're reprogramming your own perception. Okay, remember what I said about those 4 words. I am worth it. Those 4 words are, you can turn that into a mantra if you desire to. Again, it boils down to really taking a look at things and going, this is what I'm aiming for. This is what I deserve in my life. Okay, many people make the miscalculation of going, if I'm meditating or if I'm praying for that matter, it's supposed to happen overnight. And it does technically happen overnight. The question is which night it happens over. Okay, but anything you desire. There was a chap in Vietnam, okay, when he went into the war, he had never even picked up a golf club. That's terrible, Terry. Depends entirely on on what the building is made out of that the light bulb's stuck in. Or for that matter, the size of the light bulb. You do realize that dwarves won't use a light bulb on the whole. Okay, they'd rather use fire. But no, meditation itself is a way of visualizing the future you desire to have. You take your logical brain out of the way and you literally go, okay, I'm not interested in whether or not it's realistic. I'm interested in whether or not it's real. And absolutely, Joe, this is a technique that the last 3 relationships I've had, okay, were done exactly the same way. Okay, and technically it's a way of meditating. But I took a sheet of paper and I wrote down what I saw as the perfect partner. Okay, now what that is as you're writing it down, you're meditating, you're visualizing that type of individual coming to you to balance things out for you. Now, the worst one I ever saw done doing that was there was a gentleman several decades ago that used that technique, only we know he was a multimillionaire because he took out a full-page ad on a national newspaper. And on that ad, he wrote at the top of it, looking for a wife. And he listed off 100 things that person had to have going for them. And writes at the bottom of it, if you do not match each and every single one of these, don't call me. About 6 months later, he ended up married. Now, when I did it with my current relationship, I had 50 things on a list. And I thought I was being picky. By the way, Terry, in case you haven't figured it out, not certain. Was I ever really good at riddles? No. And there's way too many variables there. You know, Terry was just asking how many dwarves does it take to screw in a light bulb. You know, but take a look at the way your life is going and ask yourself, are you content with that? If not, it's time to sit down using whichever of the techniques we've talked about or many, many, many other ones. Okay, sometimes, like for instance, okay, you let your imagination do the work for you. And you take your hand and you just simply spin it upside down and you visualize an energy ball in the palm of your hand. And that's what you focus on to meditate. Okay, the reason that works is because, again, You're giving your logical brain something to focus on, something that it can say, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm co-creating. Now, I started, that's the easiest way. Absolutely you can, Terry. Okay, but I will warn you that may not be what you desire to do, but no, absolutely. Because the more you meditate, and again, the thing you focus on when you're meditating, intent is the key. Okay, when you're doing that meditation, run one thought through your head. Thank the ghosts for seeing, thank any ghost around for revealing themselves to you in a way that you can accept and understand. Okay, meditating on that concept can absolutely help. But I will caution you, some ghosts look absolutely fantastic. Some people, some ghosts are dressed to the nines. It's great. They look like they're coming from a ball. But you do have the potential of seeing the one that looks like you got run over. Okay. Or the one coming back from war that took a mortar to the bottom half of their body. And they never thought to bring that image of the body with them. So, in all fairness, what meditation does is it opens the entire mind up, the entire higher senses up for utilization. Does this work in your favor, or is it beneficial? In my eyes, the answer is yes. Okay, because you can use meditation to enhance your appealing nature, your higher senses, your health, your memory. Okay, I really recommend you work on your recall more than your memory. Okay, the reason being your memory is already 100% accurate. Like it is absolutely solid. Your recall is probably where you're having troubles. Okay, so I mean, yeah. Let your imagination go there, Terry, and all the rest of you. Whatever you can imagine meditation is capable of helping you personally work with is viable. Okay, what meditation won't do is it will not open the door for you to control what other people think or for you to modify how the world works. Okay, at least not to start. Now, your senses may be high enough to make it work. I'm strongly recommending do not break karmic law. The funny part is meditation can help you see ghosts, but meditation can also help you stop seeing them. Okay, the thing that I came to understand is ghosts are absolutely 100% real. They do not all affect the physical world, but most of them will scare the daylights out of people. Okay, so I mean, you're looking at, like I said, you've got energy, you've got fire, you've got water. Of course, if you're taking a bowl of water, they also refer to that as scrying. Okay. And again, when you're scrying, you're utilizing that meditative technique to access the higher senses so you can see what's going on. Okay. Then we've got, the mirror, a knife point, or the point of anything. Like I said, like that's just a paintbrush. So you ignore the bottom half and you focus on the front, on the tip. Okay. By focusing on that, you can enhance your ability to sense. Okay. And of course, like I showed you, you also have this neat little thing called a pendulum. Okay. Again, that's a malachite pendulum. AKA, it is a stone that helps draw finances. Speaking of stones drawing finances, I have been looking for this book for a coon's age. Okay. I kept telling you, I couldn't find this funny little book. Okay, where it comes to different gems. Okay, that's the one I use. And yes, in case you hadn't noticed, it's pretty badly warped. It got caught in a flood. But that's the one that I use. There is another version of this that actually has pictures as well. Okay, but that's the one I personally work with. But now I know where the thing is, which is always a plus. The answer there, Terry, is yeah, they really can. Now, something, and I'm not going to go into how to set that up, okay? If you ever do that, you could run into troubles, but I will tell you this. One of the things with mirrors, if when you look at your main entrance, okay, if you've got not just a mirror, but even any reflective surface, and when you open the door to your main door to your house, whether it's a house, an apartment, doesn't matter. If you open the main door and you're coming in, and there's a reflective surface right there on that wall, okay, that is a way of actually interrupting prosperity. Okay, so what you do, and it can be live plants, fake plants, decals of plants, it doesn't matter. Take them and put them in the four corners. Now, if you've got a round picture, a round frame, well, don't go looking for a corner. You'll have trouble with it. Okay, but at least in the four corners or at the four compass points, put a decal of ivy, of a flower, something that represents life. Okay, and the reason for that is a mirror. If it's facing the door when you first come in, if the first thing you see is this mirror, that mirror is going to bounce the energy, the prosperity energy, back out the front door. Now, of course, that's why I say you put the ivy around the outside of it, or the plant decals. Whether they're ivy or whether they're oak leaves or whatever is your fancy, any way you look at it, they work like a charm. Okay. Now, like I said, I'm not going to give you the formula for it, but can a mirror be set up to act as a full-blown portal? Yeah. I'm just telling you, it's not a wise idea. And no, before any of you guys bother jumping on that little bandwagon, no, I have not set one up in my house. Okay, I don't fear the metaphysical world, but at the same time, I'm not entirely foolhardy. Okay, but what a mirror can help you with, and this is one of the things I've had to pass on to a staggering number of people. If you're having problems letting go of a past transgression, walk over to whichever mirror and whichever reflective surface you choose. Mirrors are a great example. You look in the eyes of the guy or the girl looking back at you, and you literally tell them, I forgive you for everything you have done and everything you feel you may have done to hinder my personal growth and happiness. By doing this, you will release the negative energy that you're dragging around with you, self-recrimination, this sort of thing. Okay, that is what that will do for you. And yes, I know it sounds a little too simplistic, but understand, keep things simple and they will make it be so much easier to work with. Okay, this is one of those things that you have to take a look at and really open the door. Okay, one of the other neat little catches about life itself is we call it meditation. Another word for it is focus. Get your mind focused on what you desire to attain, to accomplish. This is the whole catch to making your life better. If you focus on what you are content, what you feel would be beneficial for you. And whatever you do, do not buy into other people's concept that, oh, you can't do that. Understand, if you're not breaking karmic law, There's very little on this world that you can't do. A lot I'd recommend you don't. Okay. You want something that can really create an interesting energy pattern is if you take a mirror and put it on either side, on either wall in a room directly across from each other, the energy pattern that you'll feel going between those mirrors is absolutely bizarre. Okay, now that only applies if you pick up on the energy in the first place. Now, I got asked, Terry, you asked me a question, and I have no clue what the answer is, so I got to ask. How many dwarves does it take to screw in a light bulb? Oh, by the way, I've started doing final edit on Races of the Worlds, Races of the Worlds. Okay, I've gone through the prologue, through the first couple of pages. Absolutely, Henry. The 3 karmic laws, and compare these to all of the laws and all the rules and regulations you personally follow. I do feel, Delphin, that the ones you follow will fit inside these. And bear in mind, each of these laws is just as important as the next one. Picture, if you will, the similarity to the karmic laws as the 3 legs on a 3-legged stool. Each one is absolutely as important as the next. And it's not a question of this is number 1, number 2, number 3. It is simply, I've got to pick one to say first. Okay, but you use them in tandem. Be true to yourself first. Number 2, do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. And number 3, energy out, energy in. Now, to go back over that, in a sense, when we look at be true to yourself first, get your own boundaries in place. Know what you are going to tolerate. Know the guidelines that you're going to live your life by when you're treating other people. Okay. So when we talk about being true, in other words, you set a boundary in place and go, this is what I do. Okay. This is my boundary. Okay, that's one. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. If you desire people to be honest with you, it's absolutely imperative that you are honest with them. Okay, it does not guarantee they will actually be honest with you, but it does stack the deck in your favor. Okay, so if you desire people to be courteous and open the door for you, assuming you consider that courtesy, then when you have the opportunity, do the same for them. Okay, it really boils down to this is what I desire, so I'm going to show you, I'm going to lead by example. Okay, and energy out, energy in means whatever you put your effort into, that's the energy you're setting up to draw back to you. Okay, the punishment for a liar is not that they will not be trusted by anybody. It's that they will no longer trust anybody else. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And yes, by the way, I will be turning around and eventually putting that onto a t-shirt, onto a coffee mug, that sort of thing, as I start looking into the merchandising side of things. You know, it was funny, I didn't have enough to do, so I turned around and I started writing another 2 books, one of which was already, well, both of them are already in queue. But I started actually getting the information down on paper. Okay, because it came to my understanding that I'm either going to get off my tail feathers and make things happen, or it's not going to work well for me. You know, that's just the reality behind it. But that's the three karmic laws. But like I said there, Henry, and for all the rest of you out there, absolutely take a look at those laws. Compare them to the laws that you personally are following or the ones you personally lay out. You know, you say, this is the rule in my house. And again, energy out, energy in. If you go, I lay down laws in my house, I expect other people to follow them. Then when you find out what the law is in somebody else's house, and I mean, the obvious one is take your shoes off at the door. If their house says take your shoes off at the door, take your shoes off at the door. You don't have to agree with it. You simply have to follow it. You know, Nathan, much as well, that is an interesting way of looking at it. Nathan just going, oh, speaking of Nathan, we are going to, where is the funny little thing here? Nathan, here we go. This is the link to Nathan's YouTube channel. Okay, and again, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up. If you really enjoy it, do remember to subscribe to the channel and share the daylights out of it. You know, because you're more than welcome there, Nathan. What we got? Nathan, I hate to be the one to pop your bubble, Nathan, but we've got your three karmic laws are 1, people suck. 2, try to suck less. But you didn't give us number 3. You know, that's the, what do we got? Oh, nice. So did you try and kidnap them, or you were trying something a little bit more passive? Oh, did I miss 3 something? Because I'm looking. Oh, yeah. Yeah, sadly, I'm not seeing number 3. I see 1 and 2. That's the easy part. Why? 1, 2. You know, I'm glad you enjoyed it there, Lacey. And by the way, welcome aboard. Glad you could join us. Can you put, oh, I don't honestly, somewhere. I don't know if I've got it. Oh, let me see if I actually moved it where I needed to. That's not what I needed. I needed this. That's Nikki's. Oh, I haven't moved it. But what I will do here, pop that in. I will have to go and track it down again there, Joe, because I didn't move it onto my sheet. But that said, I will get it posted as soon as I can. Just making note of it to make sure I get to it. I have made a note of it, but unfortunately, can I do it right now? No, it'll take me way too long to try and track it down. How you doing there, Mr. L? But now that you've reminded me I've got it here, when I track it down, I'll put it on my list. Unless the ones I actually do and I've got sitting there. Wonder if that's here. Nope, that wasn't right. Hey. Hopefully this had it. Not that. Okay, that's not where I need it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try and track it down again, or get Kim to resend it. I don't need that, you doorknob. Wish I could accommodate there, Joe, but I can't find it right off the top of my head here. But I will track it down and get it moved, so I've got it where it belongs. This past week has just been an absolute nightmare for me because family issues all of a sudden went sideways. But I do have it on my, I do have it now on my list of things to get done tonight. So when we start looking at meditation, meditation, the purpose is for you to become more focused on who you are, on where your strengths are, and how you can change your life. Meditation is not designed to change somebody else's opinion of you. That's up to you. But you can certainly make your words more impactful by meditating on that aspect and getting your mind to actually focus on it. This is one of those things that is absolutely critical. From your standpoint, take a look at where your life is standing. Meditation, the other thing you can use meditation for is to actually bring your body into proper dominant control on your end. The fact of the matter is there's very little that the brain will not accommodate. You just have to be willing to accept that it's possible. And rest assured, that can be a challenge for some people. So we put that there, and we put that there where it belongs. And yeah, I'm putting stuff back where it belongs because if I don't, I end up with an absolute shambles of a house. Besides that, I can't find what I'm looking for, and that just annoys me. Now that I know where this book is, I can put it back where it belongs and not have as big a problem. Show me Jimmy. Again, it boils down to getting into taking a look at things and figuring out, and it really boils down to deciding, are you content? And if not, what are you going to do to actually change things? All in all, and this is why I said right at the beginning that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. If we all focus on making ourselves more acceptable or more understandable or being more direct, more, clearer speaking, all of these things can make you that much more appealing, that much more persuasive, if you will. And I mean persuasive in a positive fashion. Persuasion to me is not a question of convince the other person. It's a question of speak your truth in such a fashion that other people find it agreeable. And by the way, the idea of phrasing things just to make other people happy, I'm not good at it. I'm really not. I've tried to be politically correct, and that usually blows up in my face. This is one of the reasons why I won't go onto a channel to discuss politics. discuss meditation, discuss other worlds, certainly. There's a neat little kicker to that. Okay, humans have this idea that first and foremost, if you're meditating, you're not living up to your potential. You're going off on a fringe. But some of the best, some of the most successful people in the world, all the way from business people to actors to playwrights, whatever. Some of the most successful people take the time to meditate on a daily basis. Now, another word for meditation, and this is going to sound really twisted to you guys, but some of you will be happy to know that praying on a regular basis is a form of meditative focus. Okay, the one catch with praying is you never ask for anything. You thank whoever you're praying to, you thank them for providing whatever it is you're seeking. Works far better than if you're asking for it. Because the reality behind, if you're asking for something, is you're actually telling the universe, or you're telling whoever you're praying to, that you desire to experience a lack of whatever it is. So they turn around and go, okay, you'd like to experience a lack of this item. No problem, done deal. Okay, oftentimes that's where people make the mistake. Okay, they did it completely backwards in the Bible when they said, ask and you shall receive. Okay, what they didn't tell you is ask and you shall receive in 1,000 or 2,000 years, which, by the way, probably outruns your lifespan. Okay, but if you look at it and go, thank and you have received, by thanking the universe, by choosing to have whatever it is, okay, you will find that it accelerates things. And in your case, Joe, when you're concentrating on finding a partner, okay, thank the universe or your God or however you want to phrase it. Thank them for providing this person to you, for drawing this person to you. It's still up to you to make sure that the connection is there and that you do your part. Because it's not a question of, oh, here's a partner and they're going to be madly in love with you. Okay, that was tried years ago. It didn't work that well. But when you focus on the things that make you more appealing, okay, you will draw the people to you. You will draw the business partners to you that are necessary for you to actually succeed. But you've still got to do the work. Okay, and this is why. Okay, and I've got to start looking into how to do this. By the way, I did find somebody that's going to revamp my website for me, and we're going to get it up and running properly, because I'll tell you, me and technology still don't get along that well. Okay. One of the books I am working on that I've started again, I just started today, 2 new books, and started writing them. One is now I showed you this book, okay, that's going to get redone. Okay, but I've just started another one. Okay, another one in the Believe in Your series. Okay, called Believe in Your Finances. Now, remember the other day, we were talking about how to get your finances working properly. Okay, one form of meditation is, and this is a bizarre form, but it works. When you take a document and you keep going through it in your own mind, you're using that logical brain, you're occupying the logical brain. The creative one will absorb the information much more effectively. Net result, things turn around for you. Okay, so I started putting that to paper today, and it shouldn't take too terribly long. When I look at it, is that the sheet? Probably not. Let's fill that. There's an idea. Put that over there. Yeah, remember I showed you this sheet of paper? Okay, that was my crib notes. That's what I'm starting to put together. Okay, and again, as soon as it is put together properly, then I will turn around and get it into print. I already have the printer lined up. I just have to deal with it. And give her the information. So all in all, we are looking at your world taking a major turn for the better, starting today, if you start working with the tools. Now, I meditate on a daily basis, okay? But I will remind you, when you're looking at meditating, no matter what method you're using, no matter what the focal point, do so when you are wide awake. Otherwise, you'll drop yourself into a wonderful meditative state, and then you'll pass out. You'll get a great night's sleep. So it's not a total loss, but it will take away from your ability to actually focus on what you're aiming for. Okay, hopefully this is making sense today. And yeah, I know I've repeated myself multiple times, but the reality is, from that perspective, many times repetition is what sinks in. Okay, I mean, let's face it. You go to put a hammer into wood. It really is a case of repetition. You hold that nail there, and you're just repeating yourself as you drive it in. Now, if you're strong enough, you can do it in one shot. And if you're quick enough on the uptake, it's only going to take a moment for things to sink in for you. Okay. Now, with the fact that I've started, I'm still working on all the books I was talking about. I just happen to add new ones. Okay. And that's just the way that life goes. So all in all, things are taking a pretty serious turn for the better. But it is now time for you to get excited about changing your life. Okay. And this is why I said when we first bridged that gap on the Bible, okay, there was no way I was going to turn around and turn this into a Bible study, because the way I figure it, virtually every Bible out there that I've seen, almost all of them say pretty much the same thing, just in different words. Okay, but if we focus on helping each other, on really tilting the scales, so that instead of just looking at one negative or looking at multiple negative, you look at one negative and two positives, or you post one negative and two positives. Okay, meditation has a lot of benefits. Okay, you can drive your health through the roof. Okay, now do understand, and I do caution you on this. When we are talking about improving your health, this is in conjunction with modern medicine, with naturopathic approaches, acupuncture, acupressure, whatever modality you choose to use, where it comes to healing. Meditation enhances their effectiveness. It does not replace them. Okay, way too many people I know will turn around and go, oh, if you meditate, you don't need to go to the doctor. And most of those people are dead. Okay, there was a chap over in Africa. He was so absolutely certain that his meditation and his belief in his ability to meditate and his belief in his God was so great that he was bulletproof. He had the entire tribe behind him, and he even got in a camera crew to film this to prove just how powerful this God was. And, they signed all the waivers and what have you. And a professional marksman that was willing to do it, okay, and believed him as well. They'd already signed all the paperwork so that he wasn't going to get into trouble. This shaman stands there and does all his chanting and goes, okay, I am well protected. A bullet will not hurt me. The marksman pulled the trigger and the guy dropped dead. Can't figure out how that happened. Okay, this is one of those things I look at as Darwin Award worthy. It's just really bizarre the number of people that say that literally convince themselves that if you bypass the rules of physics, you can survive and you can move further ahead. This is not usually the way it works. But does meditation help you focus on the goals that you've got? Absolutely it does. Okay. And this is one of the reasons why I can turn around and look in the mirror and go, this is what I'm doing. Okay. This is what I'm going to attain. Now, the neat part about it, from my standpoint, is I get an idea in my head of what I'm aiming for. And sure as shooting, I'm going to find a way to make it happen. Just where it comes to the business side of things, I know it's got to be done. My unfortunate part is trying to get the marketing side for me done. That's causing a hiccup. But I think I might have figured it out. I just have to put it to paper. Okay. But absolutely. When you go to pack it in for the night, after you've watched whatever videos, whatever channels you're watching, whatever you're doing, okay, an excellent way to get a fantastic night's sleep is to literally, when you're ready to go to sleep, you literally lay down and you meditate on letting your body drift into a natural, relaxed state. Okay, this will, and I say will because I've never heard of it not working. Okay, now I'll say it will, but let's put that in perspective. In all likelihood, it will give you a better night's sleep than just going to bed, crawling in, rolling over, and going, I'm going to sleep and hope for it. I know people that stare at the roof for hours by trying to just go to sleep. Doesn't work that well. Yesterday was weird for me. I was actually up until 2 o'clock this morning. Went to bed, got up at 5. I haven't even slowed down today. Which probably means I should probably go to bed at some time tonight instead of tomorrow morning, but we'll see how that goes. That's the other thing that you'll find with meditation is you can focus your energy. If you're starting to feel sluggish, by taking a couple of minutes out to meditate on your energy level, you can absolutely deliberately enhance it, thereby finding more access to higher energy drives. Okay, this is just another one of those things that we look at going, how do we make ends meet? How do we get things to move in the right direction? The trick is to go, I'm ready to move forward. Did I forget something? Probably. So hopefully these techniques will work. Some of these techniques will work for you. Okay. Give them a shot. The only thing I can guarantee is that every one of the ones I've talked about, I have used effectively for myself. And I've guided people. I can't tell you how many times that I've guided people through managed to utilize these techniques and had it work for them. Okay. Now, the neat part about it is once you get your mindset on what you're aiming for, this is when you can turn your life around completely. Now, let me see here. Just before I get completely lost. Well, too late for that. Tomorrow is the 6th. Yeah, I won't be in tomorrow. Oh, there we go. Nope, that's not what I was looking at. So, I do have a question before we get wound up here. Does anybody have a topic for Friday that you'd like me to open the door on? Okay, because tomorrow I won't be here. Where did my list go? I think I had it somewhere in here. Stumbled across it earlier today. And of course now it is not where I had it. Which makes total sense in my way of thinking. Well, that didn't help much. Well, okay. Now, I've got to take a look at Monday. I don't think I've got anything planned. In all likelihood there, Steph, the answer is yes. Okay, I keep forgetting which one's which. I don't know of, Oh, okay. That works really well, Joe. I got to double check something. That's where this funny little book comes in. Sure, we're going to trip over our own chair and fall down and hurt ourselves. That's an idea. Well, that's going to be a hectic day. Friday is the 7th. That will be April 7th. Okay, yeah. Joe, that is an excellent idea. So, thank you very much for that. Marking that in right now. On Friday, when I get back here, 4:30 to 6:30, we will discuss the full moon and the impact it has. Now, before anybody says anything, this does not mean I'm going to go looking at the blood moon and that sort of thing, because frankly, I don't understand them. But we will discuss the full moon and its potential impact. Okay. Now, with that in mind, okay, tomorrow I'm not going to be here. I will be putting together a list of different topics here that I've got to get sorted out. Okay. But with that in mind, I'm going to have to draw, my throat's starting to seize. So I'm going to let this go just a fraction early here. And I will catch up with you again on Friday. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.